Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost, because it will be the most accurate for you overall. Having said that, if you have time to also watch your sun sign and moon sign horoscopes, please do so, because the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will tell you more about your home life, your family life, and your current state of emotional health and well-being. Now, before I get into the horoscopes, I just want to kind of announce that it's been 12 months since I did my very first horoscope series, which I launched on the 1st of October 2020. So a lot has happened in that time. The channel has grown so much and I've connected with so many of you guys, and I just love hearing from you. I love reading your comments and interacting with you more personally. So if these horoscopes resonate for you, please drop me a comment, let me know what's going on in your life. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram and Facebook, I'll leave a link in the description box below, but it's basically just Castrology, which is the same handle as what I use for my YouTube channel. So wishing you guys a prosperous October 2021. And without further ado, let's dive into the horoscopes. Hi Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. On the 1st of October or the 30th of September, depending where you live in the world, Venus in Scorpio in your 12th house will square Jupiter in Aquarius in your 3rd house. Jupiter is your ruling planet, and the 3rd house represents how you think and what your current mentality is, or what your perspective is on things. Now, with Venus being in your 12th house, which is a very psychological house, you may be experiencing some kind of disturbance to your usual sleeping patterns. And even if you don't have great sleeping habits as it is, these may worsen around the start of the month. Now, you may not be able to put your finger on what the issue is, but I'm here to give you a few suggestions. Venus rules over your 6th house, which represents your health, and it represents your daily working environment. Now, the 6th house is also associated with things being out of balance or some kind of conflict. So there may be some underlying issue going on in the workplace, whether this is between you and your boss, or you and an employee, or just anything in your workplace which is out of balance, and you may not have consciously addressed this with the other individual, or maybe you just haven't really taken any action to try and rectify the matter. Now, the 6th house in astrology also rules over our health. So some of you Sagittarians may have some health issues or concerns that you haven't acted on. And by that, I mean maybe you haven't done your research, maybe you haven't seen a trusted medical health practitioner, and now this is showing up in this inability to relax, or in this inability to get a good night's sleep, or maybe you're not even able to fall asleep. Now, on a different level, with this square to Jupiter, which effectively represents you as it's your ruling planet, with the square to Jupiter in your 3rd house, you may be experiencing a lack of concentration or an inability to focus. And while you may be thinking that, oh, it's just because I'm tired, in actual fact, this transit suggests that there really is something going on at a deep psychological level that you are unwilling to confront in your waking hours. Now, you may actually be lashing out at people that you live with or your family members. Now, on a different note, Venus rules over your 11th house, which represents your long-term goals and your dreams, and it also represents your wider network or your group of friends. So maybe there's some kind of conflict or disturbance in your group of friends, and this is keeping you up at night and you're really just unable to think about anything else. Or perhaps you're worried about your long-term goals and your projects and where you're going with these. Now, on the 6th of October, there will be a new moon in Libra in your 11th house, and it will be at 13 degrees, and it will actually be in exact conjunction with Mars. It will also be in a wide conjunction with Mercury, and there are some other aspects going on with this new moon as well, but I'm going to run through a few different ways that this can play out for you. So with new moons, it's all about seeing the beginnings of something take place, or at the very least, setting the intention or planting the seed. So with this new moon occurring in your 11th house, which once again rules over your long-term goals and dreams, many of you will decide that you want to take action when it comes to seeing these goals and dreams of yours take some kind of tangible form. Now, this new moon in Libra will actually be making a trine to both Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius in your 3rd house. So whatever intentions you are setting around this time, or whatever new beginning is taking place, there can be some longevity to it. And because of this trine to your ruling planet, Jupiter, you are going to be putting a lot of energy and effort into getting this thing off the ground. Now, the 11th house rules over groups and communities. So you may actually be joining a new group or joining a new community. Now, this could simply be a friendship group, or it could have religious or spiritual connotations as represented by the trine to Jupiter. Now, this long-term goal or dream that you have could be related to engineering, technology, anything to do with the automotive industry, or it could be about you inventing something. So you having some innovative new idea which involves engineering and technology. And I say that because this new moon will be conjunct Mars, which I already mentioned, and it will be in this wide conjunction to Mercury, which will be retrograde. So with Mercury being retrograde, you may have tried to implement this new idea into a physical form once before. Maybe you've tried to invent something before, or maybe you've just had this idea for a really long time and you simply haven't taken action on it up until, well, now. And on a different note though, with this new moon in Libra, you may decide to start a new social media profile, you may join a new platform, you may reactivate your social media account as represented by Mercury being retrograde, or perhaps you are joining a dating app, or maybe you're just getting back out there on Tinder. Now, on a different note, the 11th house is a money house in astrology, and it rules over money that is paid to us by the government. This transit basically suggests that you may be receiving a pension, you may be receiving unemployment benefits, you may be receiving a disability support pension. In Australia, this would be the NDIS, which is the National Disability Insurance Scheme. In any case, it's about submitting the applications and then waiting till you get approval, because this is a new moon, so it's not like this is going to happen overnight. But if this is something that you have been wanting to pursue or that you have been wanting to receive, then it is a good time to take action with this matter. Now, on a different note, this new moon in Libra will actually be making an exact inconjunction to Uranus in Taurus. Now, inconjunctions can lead to some kind of challenge occurring, or the energy of an inconjunction can sort of distract you or divert your attention elsewhere. So with this new moon in Libra, you may experience some kind of issues when it comes to the paperwork. There may be more checks and balances that you need to go through. This new moon in Libra can see some of you earning rent from an investment property that you have, or maybe you've got a property which is on Airbnb, or perhaps there's some kind of dividends or royalties that you receive. In any case, this new moon in Libra with the inconjunction to Uranus is asking you to go over the fine print in careful detail, because there may be a curveball that you weren't expecting. And this goes towards the government application, which I mentioned, for some kind of financial support from the government. This also pertains to joining a new group, joining a new community. And of course, if you are inventing something, if you're an entrepreneur, or you've got something which is your idea which you need to protect, This may be about looking into trademarking something or getting a patent for it. Now, in terms of when you may want to act on these new intentions that you've got with the new moon in Libra, I would say that around the 9th or the 10th of October will be a great day for you to do so. And that is because the Sun, Mars, and Mercury will all be conjunct at 16 degrees in Libra. Now, between the 6th and the 19th of October, we will see 4 planets stationing direct, which is great news for, well, pretty much everyone, because when a bunch of planets are retrograde, which happens every year anyway, it basically leads to this feeling of things aren't moving quick enough. There's a whole lot of obstacles and challenges to overcome. Nonetheless, on the 6th or the 7th of October, Pluto will station direct in Capricorn in your 2nd house. Now, the 2nd house in astrology represents your finances and your resources, and it also represents anything that you value. So you could basically see this as your core values and how much you value yourself. So when Pluto goes retrograde for about 5 months every year, there's basically a regeneration period which takes place, or some kind of rejuvenation process. So it's really about the death and rebirth of these matters. So some of you Sagittarians may have a totally transformed view when it comes to what your core values are. Maybe this has led to a big change in your finances and resources because maybe you want to invest in yourself more. Maybe you have decided to implement some kind of new savings scheme or budgeting scheme. Now, on the 11th of October, Saturn will station direct in Aquarius in your 3rd house. The 3rd house rules over things like our education. It also rules over projects that we are currently undertaking, and it represents small groups of people, and this could be your friends, your teammates, and also your siblings and relatives. So with Saturn stationing direct in your 3rd house, you may see a lot more stability in your relationships with those people. If you are doing some kind of short-term study course or education program, whether you're learning or maybe you're the teacher, you can see these education courses and programs running a lot more smoothly. There may have been a number of obstacles or issues which you experienced over the last 5 months up until this point. Now, on the 18th of October, Jupiter, which is your ruling planet, will station direct in Aquarius in your 3rd house. So this can see there being rapid growth and expansion when it comes to your own business. If you own your own business, this could be expansion and growth in any kind of communications project that you are running or that you've started. So that could be like your blog, maybe a YouTube channel, but on a different level. You may just be networking a lot at this time, or maybe you are meeting heaps of new people. So this could be new friends, new clients, new colleagues, new teammates, and you may have actually gained some important knowledge when it comes to property. And I say that because Jupiter rules over your 4th house of property, so all property matters. Maybe you've gained knowledge about being a landlord, being a first home buyer, the selling process, the buying process, the renting process. Maybe you're renting for the first time. Now, lastly, with these planets stationing direct, we will see Mercury stationed direct in Libra around the 18th or 19th of October, once again, depending where you live in the world, and this will be in your 11th house. So Mercury spends about 3 weeks in retrograde, about 3, if not 4 times per year. And every time we see Mercury being retrograde in one of the houses, it basically shakes it up and leads you to making a whole lot of changes in that department. Now, the 11th house rules over your long-term goals and dreams, and it also rules over your friendship network and your wider network in general. So like your acquaintances, your business connections, and so on and so forth. So many of you Sagittarians will have reconnected with people that you used to be friends with clients that you used to deal with people that you used to be in business with, or maybe it's just even acquaintances who you haven't spoken to for ages, and now, you know, over the last 3 weeks you've been talking to people from like 10 years ago and you're like, geez, this person's come out of the woodwork. But on a different note, with Mercury having been retrograde in your 11th house, many of you will have made some significant changes to your friendship group and to your wider network. And what I mean by that is cutting people out. And that is because Mercury was retrograde in your 11th house of friendship. So this would have seen you analyzing and reevaluating each friendship one by one, especially because Mercury rules over your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, and basically saying, do I still like this person? What do I get out of this friendship? Not that it's about getting things out of a friendship, but it's really about whether or not you are in a two-way street. Is there give and take in this relationship? This is what Libra is all about. So when Mercury is in Libra and it's retrograde, it's like, okay, you know, is this friend really selfish? Am I spending a lot of time on their problems? Do they never listen to me? You know, you'll just be weighing up the pros and cons of each friendship. And lastly, there may have been some big changes to your long-term goals and dreams. Maybe you've done a total 180 when it comes to what you want to be doing. Now, this could be with regard to an empire that you're building, the legacy that you want to leave, or it could be related to your career, as represented by Mercury ruling over your 10th house, which represents your career and your public reputation. Now, on the 19th of October, Mars in Libra in your 11th house will trine Jupiter in Aquarius in your 3rd house. This is a great time for you to put a lot of energy and effort into your long-term goals and projects, especially given that this is coinciding with Mercury being direct. With Mercury and Mars both being in your 11th house, you'll have amazing powers of focus and concentration when it comes to just keeping your eyes on the prize and saying, hey, this is my long-term goal, I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to take action step by step to achieve what I want to achieve. And you can certainly have a lot of success with that, as indicated by this trine, which is a very beneficial and harmonious aspect to Jupiter, which is your ruling planet in the 3rd house. Now, things can certainly go well. Your business, if you own your own business, can expand, and you can have so many ideas about what to do with money-making ideas, business ideas, creative ideas, ideas for IT, cryptocurrencies, large interconnected systems without a center, as represented by the 11th house. Maybe you're planning some large-scale event, or maybe you are creating some kind of community or group or network. The possibilities are endless with this transit, so if you guys are working on something of a creative nature and of a very innovative nature, definitely go for it, and don't allow yourself to be distracted by naysayers in your friendship group. In any case, you can have very important communications which stimulate this creativity within you, and that's shown by this trine to Jupiter in the 3rd house. The 3rd house is all about communications. It's about networking. It's about sharing information and picking up new information. So keep the lines of communication open with people who are open to your ideas and who are wanting you to succeed and who are rooting for you, rather than the people who keep trying to poke holes in what you're trying to do. Now, on the 20th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries at 27 degrees in your 5th house. Every time we see a full moon take place, the sun and the moon are in exact opposition with one another. So while we have the moon in Aries in your 5th house, we see the sun being conjunct Mars in your 11th house. So this full moon in Aries can see you achieving some kind of goal which is creative in nature. So this could be like a creative project or an artistic endeavor, or you could be achieving some kind of milestone when it comes to owning your own business. And that's because Mars rules over your 5th house, which represents owning your own business. So you may actually achieve some kind of milestone, or maybe you're hitting some kind of threshold or marker point with regard to these creative endeavors that you have, or with regard to owning your own business. And this could be very positive for you, and this could certainly have a transformative impact on your finances and resources. Introducing curveball square to Pluto in Capricorn in your 2nd house. Square aspects are very challenging, and they present some kind of challenge or obstacle to overcome. Now, despite there being mostly positive aspects with the full moon, this square to Pluto in your 2nd house can basically see you coming face to face with having to transform your priorities and transform what you thought your values were. So maybe you're now seeing so much growth in these creative projects or in owning your own business that maybe the scaling up that you'd done for your business wasn't enough to basically keep up with the demand and the expansion that you've seen with this success. So with Pluto in your 2nd house and this square aspect, maybe you had developed a prototype for something and you were like, yep, I'm probably going to get 1,000 bites on this. Maybe you had a Kickstarter program which you were expecting a certain threshold to be reached, and maybe that's just been blown out of the park and you're like, whoa, now I need to fork money out of my own personal resources to basically service this demand for my product or for my business or for anything that I've created. So that's where this curveball with Pluto may come into play, and maybe you are now having to reassess how much time you have with your family, with loved ones, as represented by Jupiter ruling over your 4th house, or even just your course in life and your direction in life, which of course is shown by Jupiter being your ruling planet. In any case, the full moon sextiling Jupiter in your 3rd house is a very positive thing. The only negative aspect here is that Pluto square, but this is literally you just getting a handle on what your new set of priorities are. Now, lastly for the month, on the 22nd of October, Mars in Libra in your 11th house will square Pluto in Capricorn in your 2nd house. Mars square Pluto is no one's favorite transit, but I'm going to run through a few different ways that this can manifest for you. Because Mars is in your 11th house, which represents your wider network, it represents your online presence, it represents your friendship group, and then we've got Pluto in your 2nd house, which represents your finances, resources, and values. This transit suggests that there could be a major clash between your friends' opinions, or basically your place within a group dynamic, whether that's your friendship group or a community or some other kind of group. So there's a clash there with what they value and what you value, as shown by Pluto in your 2nd house. So this may see you disagreeing with friends, disagreeing with acquaintances, getting into disagreements online, whether that's Facebook or whatever, and you're just going for it in these on these internet platforms. Now, on a different level, this can actually lead you to cutting out certain friends from your life, or maybe you're sort of cutting yourself out from an actual group or from a community as a whole. Now, on a different note though, you may just be really stressed about your finances and your resources, as shown by the fact that both Mars and Pluto, which of course are involved in this square, rule over your 12th house. So the 12th house, once again, is a very subconscious house. It's a very psychological house. And once again, it rules over your sleeping patterns. So some of you may feel extremely stressed about money around this time, or about your resources, or even about your family, because from a Vedic perspective, your 2nd house rules over your family. Now, you could just be worried about your long-term goals and dreams. Maybe you're working on a long-term project, or maybe you have to speak at a conference. Maybe you are looking at attending some kind of of large scale event and you're just worried about how all of this is going to play out, or if you're wanting to attend some kind of event or participate in some kind of community or group, maybe they're asking for a pretty hefty fee up front and you're worried about whether you'll have the finances or the resources to be part of this and make this work. Now, there is one more transit for the month, which is Mars entering Scorpio on the 30th/the 31st of October. But this horoscope is long enough already, so I'm going to go into that at the very beginning of my November horoscopes. So if you want to catch my horoscopes next month and the other videos that go up on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hope you guys have an amazing October, and I will see you guys next month.